My name is Layla, and at 27, I run a successful tech startup that I built from nothing. Growing up, I was always the afterthought in my family, while my brother James received every advantage. 10 years ago, when I approached my father about helping with my college tuition, his words changed everything. "You were a mistake. We only wanted one child." Those words broke me, but ultimately forged me. Now, after years of silence, my family has suddenly reappeared at my office door. Before I dive into how I handled my family showing up at my office after 10 years, let me know where you're watching from and hit subscribe if you've ever had to create your own path in life. I grew up in a middle-class suburban neighborhood in Chicago in a house that looked perfect from the outside. My father Thomas was an accountant at a respected firm known for his attention to detail and strict demeanor. My mother Diana taught English at the local high school, popular among students for her engaging lessons on classic literature. To neighbors and friends, we appeared to be the ideal American family. But within our four walls, the reality was vastly different. From my earliest memories, it was clear that my brother James, 4 years my senior, was the golden child. Our parents beamed with pride at his every move while my achievements collected dust in the corners of our home. James had the larger bedroom with the window facing the backyard, despite my room being cramped and dark with a view of the neighbor's brick wall. When he needed new clothes, it was a family shopping event. My wardrobe consisted mainly of practical items purchased without my input. "James made the basketball team," my father would announce proudly at dinner, calling relatives to share the news. Meanwhile, when I brought home straight A's, the response was typically, "That's nice, Layla. Have you set the table yet?" The disparity between our treatment was most apparent during celebrations. For James's 16th birthday, my parents rented a local venue, invited 50 guests, and gifted him a used car. 6 months later, my 16th birthday was acknowledged with a store-bought cake after dinner and a gift card to a bookstore. Our family photos told the same story. In the living room, a large portrait of James in his football uniform hung prominently. Photos of his graduation, sports events, and prom lined the hallway. I appeared primarily in obligatory family group shots, often positioned at the edge as though I might be cropped out without anyone noticing. Christmas mornings in our house highlighted the imbalance further. James would unwrap the latest gaming console, expensive clothes, and sports equipment. My pile was noticeably smaller, practical items like socks and school supplies, with perhaps one item I had actually requested. As the years passed, I developed coping mechanisms to protect my heart from the constant sting of being second best. I became fiercely independent, learning to rely on myself rather than seeking validation that never came. Books became my refuge, particularly those about successful entrepreneurs who built something from nothing. Technology fascinated me, offering a world where merit mattered more than family connections. After completing my homework, I would spend hours at the local library, teaching myself coding languages from borrowed books and using the public computers. The librarians knew me by name, sometimes letting me stay past closing time when they saw my dedication. While my parents attended James's football games every Friday night, I was teaching myself Python and dreaming of creating my own software. In my sophomore year of high school, I met Mrs. Rodriguez, my computer science teacher, who noticed my aptitude immediately. She stayed after school to mentor me, providing access to better equipment and more advanced learning materials. "You have a natural talent for this, Layla," she told me one afternoon after I had debugged a program the rest of the class was struggling with. "You think differently than most students I've taught." Under her guidance, I developed my first app at 16, a program that helped students organize their study schedules and resources based on their learning styles. It was basic but functional, and when I entered it in the regional science fair, I won first place. The local newspaper even ran a small article about it. My parents didn't attend the fair. They were at James's out-of-town baseball tournament. When I showed them the newspaper clipping, my mother glanced at it and said, "That's nice, dear. Did you see that James's team made it to the semifinals?" That moment crystallized something I had long suspected: I would never be enough for them. But instead of breaking me, it fueled a determination that would ultimately change my life. If I couldn't earn their love, I would build a life so successful they couldn't ignore it. Little did I know then just how dramatically that determination would shape my future. High school became my launching pad. While maintaining a perfect GPA, I joined every technology and business-related club available. As sophomore class president and later student body president, I developed leadership skills that would prove invaluable in my future career. By junior year, I was taking advanced placement courses and dual enrollment classes at the local community college. My guidance counselor, Mr. Torres, remarked that I was the most self-motivated student he had ever encountered. Most students with your background and lack of parental involvement don't push themselves this hard, he observed during one of our college planning sessions. I didn't tell him that the absence of support had become my greatest motivator. Every achievement was a quiet rebellion against my parents' indifference. While my academic life flourished, I also worked part-time jobs consistently from age 15. Starting as a cashier at a local grocery store, I moved on to a better-paying position at a tech repair shop, where I could also enhance my practical skills. Every paycheck went into my college fund, which slowly but steadily grew. Meanwhile, my brother James coasted through high school with C's and occasional B's. He was popular, played 3 sports, and was elected prom king. Our parents attended every game, every social event, documenting his teenage glory days with countless photos. His mediocre academic performance never seemed to concern them. When James's college acceptance letters arrived during my freshman year, our house erupted in celebration. Despite his average grades, he had been accepted to Westlake University, an expensive private institution with a reputable business program. My parents proudly announced they had been saving for his education since his birth and would cover his full tuition, housing, and expenses. "We want you to focus on your studies and enjoy the college experience," my mother told him over a special dinner of his favorite foods. "Your job is just to make the most of this opportunity." I sat quietly at the table, calculating in my head how much they must have saved to afford approximately $200,000 for his education. I wondered if there was a similar fund for me, but knew better than to ask. Throughout my high school years, I poured myself into building an impeccable college application. I took 11 AP courses, earning 5s on every exam. As captain of the robotics team, I led our group to state championships. I created a peer tutoring program for underclassmen struggling with STEM subjects. My SAT score placed me in the 99th percentile nationally. By senior year, my hard work paid off. I was named valedictorian and received acceptance letters from several prestigious universities, including my dream school, MIT. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology offered me a partial scholarship that would cover about 60% of the total cost and achievement, that left me breathless with excitement. For the first time in years, I allowed myself to hope that my parents might finally see me. MIT wasn't just any university. It was the premier institution for technology and innovation, accepting less than 7% of applicants. Surely this would be enough to make them proud. I spent days analyzing the financial requirements. Between my savings from years of part-time work, additional scholarships I had secured, and potential work-study programs, I could cover about half of the remaining costs. But I would still need approximately $40,000 to complete my degree without crushing debt. After weeks of rehearsing the conversation in my mind, I chose a Sunday evening when both my parents were home and seemed to be in good spirits. I had prepared a detailed presentation outlining my achievements, the prestige of MIT, and my carefully considered financial plan. "Mom, Dad, I have something important to discuss with you," I began, my hands trembling slightly as I placed my acceptance letter on the kitchen table. "I've been accepted to MIT with a substantial scholarship. I've worked out most of the finances, but I need to talk to you about helping with part of the tuition." My father barely glanced at the letter, continuing to scroll through his phone. My mother at least offered a cursory, "That's nice, dear," before returning to loading the dishwasher. "It's MIT," I emphasized. "One of the best schools in the world for computer science. I've already saved $28,000 from my jobs, and with my other scholarships, I just need some help with the remainder." My father finally looked up, his expression shifting from disinterest to annoyance. "How much are you asking for?" "About $40,000 total spread across 4 years, I explained. "I know it's substantial, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I've worked so hard for it." My father's laugh was cold, dismissive. "40,000. You can't be serious. We're already paying a fortune for James's education. I know, but I thought maybe you had a college fund for me too. I asked, my voice smaller than I intended. That's when he said the words that would forever change our relationship and the trajectory of my life. You were a mistake. We only wanted one child. His voice was matter-of-fact, as if he were discussing the weather rather than shattering his daughter's world. We never planned for you, Layla. We certainly didn't save for a second college education. We're already paying for James's education. Figure it out yourself. The kitchen fell silent. My mother avoided eye contact, suddenly very interested in aligning the plates perfectly in the dishwasher. Her silence was its own form of cruelty, a tacit endorsement of my father's brutal honesty. In that moment, I felt as though the floor had disappeared beneath me. The revelation that I was unwanted from conception, an accident they had merely tolerated, explained a lifetime of emotional neglect. It wasn't that I wasn't good enough. It was that I was never meant to exist at all in their perfect three-person family. I don't remember leaving the kitchen or going to my room. The next clear memory I have is staring at my ceiling, tears streaming silently down my face, with a strange sense of clarity emerging through the pain. That night was both the lowest and most pivotal point in my life. After hours of crying, something shifted within me. The pain transformed into resolve, hardening like steel tempered in fire. By morning, I had made a decision that would alter the course of my life. I would never ask my parents for anything ever again. As dawn broke, I began researching alternatives to MIT. State universities offered quality education at a fraction of the price, and with my academic record, I might qualify for additional scholarships. I contacted Mrs. Rodriguez, who had remained a mentor throughout high school. They refused to help, I explained during our meeting in her classroom after school. Actually, it was worse than that. My father told me I was a mistake. Mrs. Rodriguez's expression darkened with anger on my behalf. Layla, I'm so sorry. What they've done is inexcusable. But please don't give up on your education. She helped me explore all possible options, eventually identifying a state university with an excellent computer science program where my scholarships would cover nearly all expenses. The university also offered a competitive internship program with local tech companies. It's not MIT, she acknowledged, but sometimes the path to success isn't a straight line. You'll still get an excellent education, and you can always pursue graduate studies at MIT later. With my new plan in place, I made another drastic decision. I would move out immediately after graduation, 3 months away. Through connections at my part-time job, I found 2 roommates looking to share an apartment near the university. My savings would cover the security deposit and first few months' rent until my summer job started. My final weeks at home were a strange limbo. I went through the motions of family life while emotionally disconnecting from my parents. They seemed oblivious to the change, which only confirmed I was making the right decision. One evening, as I packed books into boxes, James stopped by my room. Our relationship had never been close, more characterized by polite indifference than either animosity or affection. Heard you got into MIT, he said, leaning against my doorframe. That's impressive. Thanks, I replied, continuing to pack. I'm not going, though. I'll be attending State University instead. He nodded, unsurprised. Mom and Dad said they couldn't afford it with my tuition at Westlake. The casual way he accepted this injustice, as if it were perfectly natural that his education took precedence over mine, spoke volumes. He wasn't malicious, just completely blind to his privilege. It's fine, I said, though it was anything but. I've got scholarships and a good apartment lined up. You're moving out. This at least seemed to surprise him. Right after graduation. I didn't elaborate, and he didn't ask for details. Well, good luck with everything, he said before leaving in what would be the last real conversation we would have for years. The day after graduation, while my parents were attending a neighborhood barbecue, I moved out with the help of friends. I left a brief note explaining that I had found my own place closer to the university. My phone showed no missed calls until late that evening. Where are you? My mother asked when I answered, sounding more inconvenienced than concerned. I moved out. I left a note. Without discussing it with us first. That's very irresponsible, Layla. The irony of her calling me irresponsible after their complete abdication of parental support was not lost on me. I'm 18. I have housing and a plan for my education. I don't need your permission. Well, I hope you know what you're doing, she said clearly, ready to end the conversation. Don't forget to update your mailing address for any important documents. That 30-second call perfectly encapsulated our relationship, and it would be the last time we spoke for nearly 10 years. University life presented new challenges. I took a full course load while working 2 jobs, one at the campus tech support desk and another waiting tables at a local restaurant on weekends. Free time became a luxury I couldn't afford, but the exhaustion was worth the independence. Despite my heavy work schedule, I excelled academically. Professors noticed my drive and technical abilities, often inviting me to participate in research projects or recommending me for competitive opportunities. I built a network of mentors who provided the guidance and recognition my parents never had. During my freshman year, I met Zoe in an advanced programming class. Brilliant, outspoken, and ambitious, she challenged me intellectually and supported me emotionally once we became friends. She came from a loving, supportive family and couldn't fathom parents who would treat their child as mine had treated me. "They don't deserve you," she would say whenever I shared snippets of my childhood. "Someday they'll realize what they threw away." While I appreciated her loyalty, I had stopped caring about my parents' approval. My focus had narrowed to building my future one difficult day at a time. By sophomore year, Zoe and I were spending late nights in the computer lab developing what would eventually become our business. It started as a cybersecurity project, addressing vulnerabilities we'd identified in commonly used software systems. What began as an academic exercise evolved into a potential business as we realized the commercial applications of our solution. "We could actually sell this," Zoe said one night after we'd successfully tested our security protocol against a particularly challenging exploit. "Companies would pay good money for this level of protection." The idea took root, and alongside our studies, we began developing a comprehensive cybersecurity application that would become the foundation of our future company. Junior year marked a turning point in my academic and entrepreneurial journey. Zoe and I entered the university's business competition with our cybersecurity concept, having developed a working prototype that demonstrated remarkable effectiveness against common cyber threats. The judges, a panel of professors and industry professionals, were visibly impressed with our presentation. "Your solution addresses a critical gap in the market," noted one judge, the CEO of a regional tech firm. "Have you considered how you'll scale this for enterprise-level clients?" We had in fact mapped out a detailed growth strategy. Our thorough business plan combined with the technical strength of our product earned us first place and $20,000 in seed money to develop our concept further. This victory created a small buzz in the local tech community. A technology blog featured our project, and suddenly doors began opening. We were invited to networking events where we met potential mentors and investors curious about our innovation. That summer, I secured an internship at Cygnus Technologies, a major player in the cybersecurity field. While Zoe continued refining our product, I absorbed everything I could about industry standards, market demands, and business operations from within an established company. My supervisor, Marcus Fletcher, took a special interest in my development. "Most interns are just trying to get through the summer," he commented during my performance review. "You're actually trying to transform the industry." I worked 14-hour days showing up before my supervisor and leaving after him. I volunteered for challenging projects other interns avoided and spent weekends studying industry reports. By the end of summer, Marcus offered me a part-time position I could maintain during my senior year, providing crucial income and continued professional development. Senior year became a carefully orchestrated balance between completing my degree working at Cygnus and developing our business with Zoe. We registered our company Safeguard Solutions and converted a corner of our apartment into a makeshift office. Sleep became an afterthought as we pursued our vision with single-minded determination. Graduation day arrived with no family in attendance. I told myself it didn't matter, but their absence left a hollow space that even achievement couldn't quite fill. Zoe's parents brought flowers and took dozens of photos of us in our caps and gowns. They treated me to dinner and toasted my accomplishments with genuine pride. Their kindness was a balm to old wounds, showing me what family support should look like. "We're so proud of you both," Zoe's father said, raising his glass. "The world better watch out for these two brilliant women." The months following graduation were among the most challenging of my life. Zoe and I left our jobs to focus exclusively on Safeguard, working from our tiny apartment to conserve funds. Our seed money was dwindling fast as we developed our product and prepared marketing materials. We lived on ramen noodles and coffee, pouring every spare dollar into the business. Cold calling potential clients became our daily routine. For every 20 calls, we might secure one meeting, and for every 5 meetings, we might get one client considering our services. The rejection was relentless, but so was our persistence. No one said building something from nothing would be easy, I reminded Zoe during a particularly discouraging week. We just need one big break. That break came 3 months into our venture. A medium-sized financial services firm agreed to implement our security solution. Their IT director had been impressed by our demonstration and was willing to take a chance on our fledgling company. "Don't make me regret this," he warned as we signed the contract. "My reputation is on the line here." We worked around the clock to ensure flawless implementation, providing support that went far beyond our contractual obligations. Our dedication paid off when their system effortlessly repelled an attempted breach just weeks after installation. The IT director became our most vocal advocate, recommending our services to his professional network. Suddenly, we had credibility in the marketplace, and new clients began reaching out to us, rather than the other way around. As our client base grew, we hired our first employees, moved into a small office space, and began developing additional security products. By the end of our first year, Safeguard Solutions was profitable, exceeding even our optimistic projections. Our breakthrough moment came during our second year of operation. A major retail corporation using our security system detected an attempted breach that could have compromised millions of customer records. Our software not only prevented the attack, but provided crucial data that helped authorities identify the hackers. The incident made national news, with our company mentioned as the security provider that saved the day. Overnight, Safeguard became known throughout the industry. Our phone rang constantly with new business inquiries, and technology publications requested interviews. "This is what we've been working toward," Zoe said as we watched our company name scroll across the business news ticker. "We've actually made it." By the time I turned 25, Safeguard Solutions employed over 50 people and was valued at $23 million. We had expanded our offerings to include a comprehensive suite of cybersecurity products serving clients across multiple industries. As CEO, I led a company respected throughout the technology sector for innovation and reliability. I moved into a beautiful apartment in Chicago's Gold Coast neighborhood with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan. After years of financial struggle, I could finally afford luxury and comfort. More importantly, I had built something meaningful entirely on my own terms, without family connections or support. The frightened girl who had once been told she was a mistake had transformed into a confident woman at the helm of a thriving company. I had proven my worth in the most definitive way possible, not that my family would know or care. We hadn't spoken in years, and I had no intention of changing that. Little did I know that fate had other plans, connecting my professional success to my estranged family in ways I could never have anticipated. I rarely thought about my brother James during those years of building my company. Occasionally, I would see updates on his life through mutual connections on social media. He had graduated from Westlake University and secured a position at Wellington Financial Group, a prestigious firm in Chicago's financial district. His profile pictures showed him in expensive suits at charity galas and industry events, the perfect image of young professional success. I felt no jealousy toward him, only a distant acknowledgement that our lives had taken very different paths. While he had been handed opportunities, I had created my own. There was a certain satisfaction in that distinction. By my 27th birthday, Safeguard Solutions had grown into an industry leader in cybersecurity. Our client list included Fortune 500 companies, government contractors, and financial institutions worldwide. We had just completed a successful round of funding that valued the company at over $50 million and allowed us to expand our research and development department. The company's growth meant my responsibilities had evolved as well. I had assembled an executive team of brilliant, dedicated professionals who shared my vision for the company's future. My daily focus shifted from technical development to strategic planning and client relationships. Zoe served as our Chief Technology Officer, continuing to drive the innovation that had become our trademark. One Tuesday morning, I received a call from Walter Brennan, the Chief Information Officer of Meridian Bank, one of our newest and largest clients. His voice carried an urgency that immediately put me on alert. "Layla, we've detected some concerning patterns in our financial monitoring systems," he explained. "There seem to be irregularities in how certain transactions are being processed and recorded." "Is it a security breach?" I asked, already mentally assembling a response team. "No, that's the strange part. Our systems are secure, but something doesn't add up with the data itself. The inconsistencies are subtle, the kind that wouldn't trigger automated alerts. One of our analysts noticed it by chance." We arranged for a specialized team from Safeguard to investigate. What they uncovered was troubling evidence suggesting deliberate manipulation of financial records across multiple accounts. This wasn't an external hack, but something happening within the system itself, potentially pointing to internal fraud. "We need to proceed carefully," I told Walter after reviewing the preliminary findings. "This could have serious legal and regulatory implications." Over the next 2 weeks, our team worked closely with Meridian's internal auditors, meticulously documenting the inconsistencies and tracing them to their source. The evidence increasingly pointed to Wellington Financial Group, which managed several investment portfolios for Meridian's wealthiest clients. When I saw Wellington's name in the report, a chill ran down my spine. James worked there. Could he possibly be involved? I reviewed the documentation personally, finding no direct mention of my brother. The irregularities seemed to involve a team handling certain high-value accounts, but without names attached. I faced an ethical dilemma should I disclose my connection to Wellington through my brother. After considerable reflection, I decided my personal relationship or lack thereof with James was irrelevant to the investigation. My responsibility was to my client and to the integrity of the financial system. If the evidence led to Wellington, so be it. "We should report these findings to the appropriate regulatory authorities," I advised Walter. "The patterns we're seeing suggest intentional misrepresentation of financial data." Walter agreed, and Meridian Bank filed a formal report with the Securities and Exchange Commission, including the evidence our team had gathered. I made sure our role remained strictly professional, providing technical expertise without directing the investigation toward or away from any particular individuals at Wellington. 3 weeks later, financial news outlets reported that Wellington Financial Group was under federal investigation for fraudulent practices. According to the reports, several employees had been terminated, and criminal charges were being considered against senior managers who had orchestrated the scheme. I was reviewing these reports in my office when Zoe entered, her expression unreadable. "Have you seen the list of people fired from Wellington?" she asked, placing a tablet in front of me. There, midway down the list, was James Turner, Senior Account Manager. I stared at his name, experiencing a complex wave of emotions. I hadn't intended this outcome, hadn't even known he was involved. Yet there was an undeniable symmetry to the situation. My brother, who had been given every advantage, had apparently chosen a path of dishonesty. Meanwhile, I had built my success on integrity and innovation. "Are you okay?" Zoe asked, knowing the complicated history with my family. "Yes," I said, surprised to find it was true. "I didn't cause this. His choices did." The vindication I felt was brief and hollow. It brought no real satisfaction to see James facing consequences, only a sad confirmation that the values I had been raised with, or more accurately, the lack thereof, had shaped him in fundamental ways. I had rejected those values and forged my own path. He had embraced them and now faced the repercussions. I instructed our PR team to make no comments about the Wellington case beyond confirming our technical assistance in the investigation. We would maintain professional distance and focus on our ongoing work with Meridian Bank. For several days, I wondered if James knew of my company's role in uncovering the fraud. Had he made the connection? Did he feel betrayed? Or did he recognize that I had simply done my job without personal malice? These questions lingered unanswered as I continued leading my company forward. What I never anticipated was that this incident would trigger a chain of events that would bring my past crashing into my present in the most unexpected way. 3 months after the Wellington scandal broke, I was reviewing quarterly projections with my executive team when my assistant interrupted with an unusual message. "I'm sorry for the interruption, Ms. Turner, but there are 2 people in reception insisting on seeing you. They say they're your parents." The conference room fell silent. My team knew little about my personal life as I kept firm boundaries between my professional and private worlds. The few who knew I was estranged from my family watched me with concern. "Did they have an appointment?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "No, they just showed up and said it was important. They've been waiting for almost an hour." My heart raced as conflicting impulses battled within me. Part of me wanted to refuse the meeting to send them away, as they had sent me away years ago. Another part, a smaller, quieter voice, was curious about what could possibly bring them here after all this time. "I'll see them in the small conference room in 5 minutes, I decided. "Please make sure we're not disturbed." As my team filed out, Zoe lingered behind. "You don't owe them anything," she reminded me. "I can have security escort them out if you prefer." "I know," I assured her, "but I think I need to do this. I'll be fine." I took a moment to compose myself, smoothing my tailored blazer and checking my reflection in my office window. The woman who looked back at me bore little resemblance to the heartbroken teenager who had left home 10 years ago. I was now Layla Turner, CEO, a woman of accomplishment and authority. With that identity firmly in mind, I walked to the conference room. They looked older, of course. My father's hair had grayed completely, and his formerly imposing frame seemed diminished somehow. My mother's face showed more lines, her posture less confident than I remembered. They both stood as I entered, expressions a mixture of nervousness and forced smiles. "Layla," my mother said, taking a half step toward me before stopping, uncertain of her welcome. "You look wonderful." I didn't move to embrace her. "Thank you. This is unexpected. What brings you here?" My father cleared his throat. "We thought it was time to reconnect. It's been too long." 10 years, I said evenly. "You haven't attempted to contact me in 10 years. An uncomfortable silence followed as they exchanged glances. "We saw you in Business Innovators magazine last month," my mother finally offered. "The feature about women changing the tech industry. We had no idea you'd become so successful." Of course. They hadn't sought me out when I graduated, or when I started my company, or during the years of struggle. Only now, when my success was publicly recognized, did they suddenly feel the urge to reconnect. "It's been quite a journey," I said, deliberately vague. "But I doubt you came here to discuss my career. What do you really want?" My directness seemed to throw them off balance. They were accustomed to the compliant daughter who had accepted her second-class status without complaint, not this self-assured woman demanding honesty. "We've always been so proud of you," my father said, the insincerity of his words almost palpable in the air between us. "Have you? That's not how I remember it." He shifted uncomfortably. "Perhaps we didn't express it well, but seeing what you've accomplished building this company from nothing, it's remarkable. We wanted to tell you that in person." Their performances might have been convincing to someone who hadn't lived through years of their indifference, but I knew better, and I waited patiently for the real reason behind their sudden appearance. Finally, my mother broached the subject. "We've also been dealing with James's unfortunate situation. It's been very difficult for all of us." And there it was, the true purpose of their visit. "I heard about his dismissal from Wellington," I said neutrally. "That must be challenging for him." "It's been devastating," my mother continued. "The accusations against him are greatly exaggerated. He was just following the company's established practices, but they're making him a scapegoat." I resisted the urge to point out that established practices didn't justify fraud. Instead, I asked, "What does this have to do with me?" My father leaned forward. "We know your company was involved in the investigation that led to his firing. We thought perhaps given your influence in the industry, you might be able to help clear his name, or at least help him find new employment. He's really struggling." The audacity was breathtaking. After years of no contact, after telling me I was a mistake and refusing to help with my education, they expected me to use my hard-earned success to bail out their favored child. "Let me understand," I said slowly. "You haven't spoken to me in 10 years. You told me I was a mistake and refused to help me with college. And now you want me to risk my company's reputation to help James after he was implicated in financial fraud." My mother flinched at the directness of my words. "We know we made mistakes, Layla, but family should help each other in times of need." Family. I repeated the word bitter on my tongue. "You didn't consider me family when I needed help. You made it very clear where I stood. I was the mistake, remember? People say things they don't mean when they're stressed." My father countered, his tone suddenly patronizing. "You're successful now. Surely you can be the bigger person and move past old grievances." I studied them, seeing clearly for the first time, not powerful figures who had shaped my world, but simply flawed, selfish people who viewed relationships as transactional. They hadn't come to reconcile or make amends. They had come because they wanted something from me, treating me once again as merely a resource to benefit their golden child. I built this company based on principles of integrity and ethical conduct. I said, my voice steady. We assisted in an investigation because it was the right thing to do. I won't compromise those principles, not even for family, especially not for family. My father's demeanor changed instantly, the facade of warmth evaporating. "After everything we did for you, this is how you repay us, by refusing to help your own brother. Everything you did for me." I couldn't help but laugh, though there was no humor in it. What exactly was that? Treating me as an afterthought, my entire childhood, telling me I was a mistake, refusing to support my education while paying for James's. "We put a roof over your head and food on the table," he snapped. "Not everyone gets to go to fancy universities. You turned out fine without our help anyway, so what are you complaining about?" "Thomas," my mother cautioned, perhaps sensing they were losing whatever leverage they thought they had. But he continued, his true colors fully revealed now. "You always had such a victim mentality. Now you're just being spiteful because you can. James made a mistake, but he doesn't deserve to have his life ruined over it." I stood up, signaling the end of the meeting. "I didn't ruin James's life. His choices did that. Just as your choices destroyed any relationship we might have had. I won't hire him, and I won't use my connections to find him employment. He'll have to rebuild his career the way I built mine, through hard work and integrity." "You ungrateful little—" my father began, rising from his chair. "This meeting is over," I interrupted, pressing the intercom button on the conference phone. "Please have security escort Mr. and Mrs. Turner out of the building." "You'll regret this," my father threatened as the security team arrived. "When you've calmed down and thought about it, you'll realize family is all that matters in the end." I watched them being led away, my father's face flushed with anger, my mother looking back with what might have been regret or merely disappointment that their plan had failed. "No," I said quietly, though they were too far away to hear. "What matters is how you treat people when they need you most. You taught me that lesson better than you know." As the elevator doors closed behind them, I felt a weight lifting, a chapter finally closing. I returned to my office where Zoe was waiting, concern evident in her expression. "What happened?" she asked. "They wanted me to give James a job or use my influence to help him after the Wellington scandal," I explained. "When I refused, they showed their true colors." "Are you okay?" I considered the question carefully. "Actually, I think I am. Better than I expected to be. Seeing them now from a position of strength rather than vulnerability, I realized something important." "What's that?" "Their opinion of me never mattered. What they think of me now doesn't matter either. I define my own worth, not them." Zoe smiled, squeezing my shoulder supportively. "That's one expensive therapy session." I laughed, grateful for her ability to lighten even the heaviest moments. The most valuable one I've ever had. In the days following my parents' unexpected visit, I found myself processing emotions I had suppressed for years. Though I had presented a composed exterior during our confrontation privately, I experienced waves of anger, grief, and ultimately a profound sense of closure. Recognizing I needed help navigating these complex feelings, I began seeing Dr. Harlow, a therapist specializing in family trauma. Our weekly sessions provided a safe space to examine how my childhood had shaped me and to develop healthier perspectives on those formative experiences. Your parents' rejection was never about your worth, Dr. Harlow observed during one particularly insightful session. It reflected their limitations, not yours. Intellectually, I know that, I acknowledged. But emotionally, that rejection shaped so much of who I became. Often our deepest wounds become our greatest sources of strength, she replied. You channeled that pain into determination and resilience. The question now is, how do you want those experiences to inform your future? This question resonated deeply. I had defined myself for so long by what I was not my parents' daughter that I needed to more consciously consider who I wanted to be beyond that rejection. What values would I choose to embody? What legacy did I want to create? Meanwhile, Zoe proved to be an unwavering source of support, listening without judgment as I processed my feelings about the encounter. Her friendship had been a constant in my life when family had not demonstrating that meaningful connections could be chosen, not just inherited. You know what the best revenge is? She asked one evening as we shared dinner in my apartment. Living well and helping others do the same. Her words sparked an idea that would eventually become one of my most meaningful endeavors. 2 months after my parents' visit, I established the New Path Foundation, a nonprofit organization providing scholarships and mentorship to promising students from unsupportive family backgrounds. The foundation's first initiative focused on helping students who, like me, had the academic qualifications for prestigious universities, but lacked financial support from their families. Beyond tuition assistance, we provided mentorship, internship opportunities, and a supportive community for those navigating higher education without family backing. I want to be for these students what Mrs. Rodriguez was for me, I explained at the foundation's launch event. Someone who sees their potential when their families don't. Working with these students became one of the most rewarding aspects of my life. I recognized my younger self in many of them, particularly in Alicia, a brilliant computer science student whose parents had dismissed her academic ambitions. They don't understand why I want more than what they had, she explained during our first mentorship meeting. They see it as rejection of them, not as me pursuing my own path. Your success doesn't have to come at the expense of your relationship with them. I advised sharing wisdom hard-won from my own experience. But you also can't sacrifice your potential to make them comfortable. Sometimes you have to be brave enough to disappoint people you love. Through Alicia and other students in the program, I experienced the healing that comes from transforming personal pain into purposeful support for others. Their successes became a source of profound joy, perhaps even more meaningful than my own professional achievements. Alongside this philanthropic work, I continued building both my company and my personal life. Safeguard Solutions expanded internationally, opening offices in London, Singapore, and Toronto. Our client list grew to include some of the world's largest corporations, and our security protocols became industry standards. On a personal level, I cultivated what Zoe and I came to call our chosen family, a close-knit circle of friends who supported each other through life's challenges and celebrated its joys. These relationships, built on mutual respect and genuine care rather than obligation, fulfilled the need for connection that my biological family had failed to provide. Through therapy, friendship, and mentoring, I gradually healed from the wounds of my childhood. The pain didn't disappear entirely, but it transformed into something productive, a wellspring of empathy that informed both my personal relationships and professional leadership. Approximately 1 year after my parents' visit to my office, I received an unexpected email from my mother. The subject line read simply, "I'm sorry." The message inside was brief but seemed genuine. Layla, I've been reflecting on our last meeting and many things before that. I was wrong to stand by silently when your father hurt you both recently and throughout your childhood. I failed you as a mother, and no explanation can justify that failure. I don't expect forgiveness, but I wanted you to know that I recognize the pain I caused and am truly sorry for it. Your success is a testament to your strength and determination. I am proud of you, though I have no right to claim any part in who you've become. I read the message several times, searching for hidden manipulations or unstated requests, but found none. It appeared to be a genuine, if belated, acknowledgement of her role in my childhood pain. Dr. Harlow helped me process this unexpected apology. Forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation, she reminded me. It doesn't even require their participation. It's something you do for yourself, releasing the power the injury has over you. After careful consideration, I chose to respond briefly. Thank you for your apology. I appreciate your recognition of the past. I've built a good life and am at peace with my journey. I wish you well. I didn't offer to meet or suggest rebuilding our relationship. The apology was meaningful, but it couldn't erase decades of neglect or instantly create trust where none existed. Perhaps someday there might be space for a different kind of relationship, but for now, this acknowledgement was enough. What I had come to understand through this journey was that my father had been wrong about one fundamental thing: I wasn't a mistake. My parents' treatment of me had been the mistake. The family we're born into may shape our beginnings, but it doesn't have to define our entire story. The people who truly matter are those who value us, support our growth, and stand by us through difficulties, whether they share our DNA or not. The family we choose, the communities we build, and the love we give ourselves ultimately matter more than the circumstances of our birth. As I continue building my company, mentoring students, and nurturing my chosen family, I carry this wisdom forward. Our worth isn't determined by others' ability to recognize it. Sometimes the most profound act of self-love is believing in our own value when others don't, and using that belief to create a life that reflects our truest, most authentic selves. The frightened teenager who once thought she wasn't enough has become a woman who knows her worth beyond any doubt. That transformation wasn't easy, but it was necessary and ultimately liberating. In finding my own path, I discovered strengths I never knew I possessed and built a life richer and more fulfilling than I could have imagined. Have you ever had to create your own path when those who should have supported you didn't? How did you find the strength to keep going? Share your story in the comments below, and remember to like and subscribe if this resonated with you. Remember, sometimes the family we choose becomes more important than the one we were born into. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope it gives you courage if you're facing similar challenges. You are enough exactly as you are.